What's up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Barbecue, and I had a request a while back from, forgive me if I can't pronounce your name, I'm going to go ahead and put his name right here. Anyway, he had requested that I do some pork ribs in the oven, and I kind of forgot about it, and he reminded me of it, so that's what we're going to do today. Now, one of the issues I have with doing pork ribs in the oven is that when they're done getting cooked, really it just tastes like pork with some sauce on it. There's really no depth of flavor. So what we're going to try to do in this recipe is actually bring out some of that flavor. So what we're going to do right now, this is going to take a little while, is I have a couple pork ribs, or not pork ribs, but I have some baby back ribs that I bought on sale. They were already cut in half, so that's kind of what we're going with. And the first thing I'm going to do to try to get some flavor out of this is I'm going to go with the dry brine, and this dry brine is just going to be salt. And we're just going to hit this very liberally with salt. We're going to be rinsing this off later. So what the salt's going to do, and I'm using kosher salt, is it's going to start breaking down the meat, and hopefully it will add kind of a mild cure to it. So it kind of has more of that baby back rib flavor. So this is going to be our first step, and what I'm going to do is this is going to sit on the ribs for about 12 hours. After 12 hours, we're going to rinse it off, and we're going to move on to our next step. These ribs have been sitting with that salt on them for about 9 hours. I'm about to go to bed, so what I'm going to do is just go ahead and throw these ribs in a Ziploc bag. And what I'm going to pour in here is some pomegranate juice. And hopefully that's going to give us some flavor and some color. So we're going to zip these up, and they're going to sit probably for another, probably have a chance to sit for about 12, or probably actually closer to 14 hours. Let these ribs marinate for about 15 hours. I don't know if it took that long, but I had some business I needed to take care of. At this point, what I'm going to do is take them out, and I'm just going to leave them in the same pan, and I'm going to pour this liquid back in, and we're going to go ahead and throw this in the oven at 350 degrees, and I'm going to go for about 2 hours on this at 350 degrees. About 2 hours and 15 minutes into this, and if you can tell that the meat's kind of pulling back on the bones, which is what we were looking at. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drain the liquid off. I'm going to let these cool down a little bit, and then I'm going to get some seasoning on them. Only took a couple of minutes for them to cool down enough for me to use my hands, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to rub them down with some oil. You can use any kind of oil you want, but the oil I'm using is Sang stir fry oil. This was given to me by another YouTube channel by the name of the Root Boy Cooks. I'm going to go ahead and leave a link to his channel in the description and in the iCard above. Run by there. He's always cooking up some good stuff. And this is going to give us some really good garlic flavor as well. Alright, now the rub I'm going to be using was from a spice company called Tango Spice Company. And they have some really good spices. My wife is a huge fan of their the hot version. I forget what it's called, but they have a multitude of different spices. And now we're just going to rub them down like we would any other kind of ribs. I went with a dark red rib, or a dark red rub, because we're not going to have the color you would typically get from a smoke, or from a smoked rib. I go back in the oven, and I'm thinking we're probably going to be another 2.5 hours. About how to treat these ribs, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and treat them like regular barbecue ribs. What I have here is some brown sugar that's laid out. And I would say that that's about 1/8 of an inch of brown sugar. I'm using a little bit more brown sugar than normal because the barbecue sauce that I am using is a barbecue sauce called It's Not Sweet. This was sent to me by another YouTube channel called heavy metal barbecue. So if you're into heavy metal, or maybe even if you're not into heavy metal, he's putting out some good stuff on this channel. I'm going to go ahead and put a link to Heavy Metal Barbecue's channel in the iCard above and the description below. Run by there and take a look. Anyway, so we got the brown sugar down. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with some squeeze butter. And what this is going to do is it's going to make a real nice glaze that we're going to end up glazing this with when we are done. Actually, let's go here. Get some honey on here. And I'm going to go with just a little bit of barbecue sauce on this side. We're going to lay our rib down. And we're going to come back over this side. So what's going to happen is when this stuff is cooking down, it's going to create a real nice glaze. Going back in the oven probably for about another hour and a half. I did lower the temperature on the oven to 250 degrees. Been in the oven about an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to go ahead and drain off the liquid. So now that we've taken the ribs out of the oven, drained off the liquid, we're going to go ahead and apply this glaze that came out of the foil pack that the ribs were in. Throw this back in the oven, same temperature, 250 degrees for about 20 minutes just to let that glaze set. Here's what the ribs look like coming out of the oven. I did cut a piece and you can tell that it doesn't have, you know, that smoke look to it, but you know what? We haven't had a chance to taste it yet, so let's go ahead and taste it and see kind of what we're thinking. Well, this is it. Let's see how these oven ribs taste. From an appearance standpoint, you can barely tell that they were not cooked out on a smoker. Outside of the fact when you cut them, you're not seeing any smoke ring or anything like that. But you know what? Let's just taste them. You know what? I wouldn't put these on top of any smoked ribs or anything like that, but I will put them on top of most oven ribs that I've tasted before where they're completely fall apart. No flavor deep inside the meat. Hey, hopefully this is a nice oven rib recipe that you can follow. Thanks for stopping by No Hippie BBQ. I appreciate it. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.